All right, everybody. Hello, welcome aboard. I'm Bill. That guy over there is Zap. I pointed the wrong way. How's it going, Zap?
Oh, good. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing great. It is Tuesday, not Tuesday. It is Wednesday, November 16th. This is episode 54 of Run, Jump, Stomp, a podcast about video games. And this week, we're going to be talking about the Living World Season 3. Episode 3 is on its way.
Dishonored flop.
There's Coaster Wars.
Zelda pushback.
No, say it isn't so. Blizzard makes changes to loot boxes.
Mario Run, 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 and a price.
All right, those stories and more on this episode of Run, Jump, Stomp. Stick around. All right, our first story for today in the headlines.
Now, your tomorrow morning's headlines
is,
tonight.
And here's what makes it really marvelous.
Living World Season 3, Episode 3. I've got the video playing in the background, and Guild Wars 2, it kind of lost its luster for me when Season 3, Episode 2 came out. I played through it, and while I thought that the story stuff was good, I really did not like Ember Bay. Is it Ember Bay?
It's Ember Bay, yeah.
Yeah, Ember Bay. I really didn't care for Ember Bay as a place to hang out. I didn't think it was very fun for me. And so I kind of stopped playing completely outside of raids. So I wasn't doing anything outside of a raid. This going back up north to and this is what they showed in the video for those of you that are listening. They showed that it's called a crack in the ice, and it looks like we're going back up to fight Jormag. And in the video they say 2 dragons at once a couple times, so that's interesting. And I'm really excited about this. And my favorite areas in Guild Wars 2 are the Norn areas, the places where there's all the snow and stuff. I think that ArenaNet did a fantastic job making those areas look really good. And I can't wait to get back there to do something new, because I feel like we've been spending a whole lot of time in the southern hemisphere of the map. And getting back up to that cold area where I started out, because my main character is a Norn, I'm really excited about that. What do you think?
I'm excited, but my worst area was the Shiver Peaks. I found it the most. I think it's because when I first played, it was like the last areas I visited in the game. My favorite areas are like Metrica Province and that sort of stuff. My main's in Azura, but I'm now powering through Edge of Destiny, the book, and like Air and all that kind of the story behind Air and all that sort of thing has made me actually remove my Azuran Guardian, re-roll it to a good Norn Guardian, just ready for this patch.
Oh, nice.
Then I saw this, Then I saw this patch and was like, yeah, I'm quite excited. I also did like Ember Bay. I've been there about 3 times since it's dropped. Bloodstone Fen was cool. Really cool looking map, which was the map before Ember Bay. For me, the Fire Island chain just is not doing it just yet. So I want to see where they're going. There's been a few comments on the Reddit and the Guild Wars 2 forum that people are annoyed that they're reusing assets, and I'm kind of like, so? It's the Far Shiver Peaks. You know what they're going to be. It's not a new map. It's not a new area of the world. It's the Far Shiver Peaks. We know exactly what we're getting involved in. It's going to be snowy, mountainous. There's going to be, this, that, and the other, which you've already got, in the game. So I think that's a good thing that they're not going to change too much. Some of the stuff in this trailer, like the eye sculptures of the dragons, I think that's going to be a claw of Jormag, which you see. Looks incredible. There's other bit. I'm watching the trailer right now, so I can keep refreshing myself. The music, take note of the music, because the music is just incredible. ArenaNet are doing some really cool things with their trailers, the music-wise as well. And also, it looks like what I didn't think they were gonna do, which blows one of my theories out of the water about the PvE story in particular, is that they would do Primordus and then Jormag or Jormag then Primordus. But it looks like we're going to be fighting both dragons. And I thought that if we were fighting one after the other, then Jormag, if we were fighting Primordus next, Jormag would then absorb some of Primordus's power. But it looks like they've both absorbed, because there's an image in the trailer of what looks like an undead Kodan, but he's also green, so he's planting as well, which looks really, really cool. So I'm looking forward to that, and yeah, I can't wait to see what happens. So yeah, I'm still here. Sorry, little boy came running downstairs.
Oh, okay.
But I'm really, really looking forward to it. I'm really looking forward to seeing what they do.
Yeah, and you know, for the people who've been complaining that when people complain about the you know, that they're reusing these places, yes, it's true that the whole world, God, how do I want to say this? There's only so much real estate. Okay, it's not like they can just invent another planet. They can't just invent a place for people to go to. So I like this idea that they're reusing the places that we've already seen. World of Warcraft is kind of doing the same exact thing. We get to see we're going back and looking at different places in World of Warcraft that we've been to before. And the reason why this is good is because it makes the old world feel like it still matters. And so I kind of like the idea that we're going back to places where we've already been. So I totally agree with you. I'm excited about it. And let's take a look at our next story. But whoa, I almost forgot. Before we do, Guild Wars 2, 50% off right now. So if you haven't been playing... Well, first off, the base game is free, but if you've been playing the base game and you're enjoying it, then definitely check out the expansion. The expansion allows you to glide, which is really great. It unlocks 4 new maps, and it gives you a new way to progress your characters. So definitely check that out as well.
And just before we move on, a couple of things. Do remember this patch is launching on Monday. There's an American holiday coming up next week. I believe it must be Thanksgiving.
Yes.
Yes, so they're releasing it Monday, not Tuesday. So if you are going Tuesday patch date, no, it is Monday. We had a dev confirmed that it's being released Monday because of Thanksgiving. They're all at the office on Thursday, Friday, I believe it is, and they're out obviously not in there for the weekend. So they don't want to launch a big patch because it sounds like there's a lot more coming with it than just the Living Story. Massively OP, I believe it's either them or 10 Ton Hammer. Don't quote me on the site. Have got a article on the fractals. So apparently there could be fractal changes coming, and all sorts of different things. There's a new legendary shield. Don't know if it's coming with this patch, but the devs themselves have said that they don't want to let it go. They launch it Tuesday, and they've only got Wednesday to fix any bugs. So it is launching next Monday. So do keep an eye on that one.
Yeah, and Eskimo Princess just reminded me that in the video for the not expansion, but whatever the heck it's called, for the content release, they did show a little bit of underwater combat, and I totally agree with Princess. I can't stand underwater combat, and it makes me nervous that we are going to see underwater combat in that game. But before we move on to the next story, we're going to take a quick break, and we will be right back. All right, sorry about that. Why don't we go ahead and move on to our second story? What do we got here, Zap?
Well, as we know, we spoke the other week about, it might have been even last week, about Bethesda's review policy change, and it looks like it's now backfired on them. Dishonored 2 was their biggest game to release after, or be published after, the review policy change. And if people don't know, quick refresh on the review policy. was they won't allow mainstream or main outlets, reviewers and stuff like that, to have the game early to review it and so on. They were going to allow people it to be the same day as everyone else, a day before, so it would be released the day before. And Dishonored 2 has been a bit of a performance problem. I've seen a few streamers. One was Bog. He was saying yesterday that he was having some frame rate issues. There's been all sorts of problems. I've seen streamers not being able to play Dishonored 2. PC-wise, it's really not. It's not good. And Bethesda have come out and said performance patch coming this week. Right. Okay. In 2016, we shouldn't have a performance patch. Now, I understand there is always bugs, issues, glitches, whatever. You can't. There is always going to be something in the system. You don't know until that game drops for common market when 100,000 people are playing it or whatever, where things don't start cropping up. But a frame rate issue on and stuff like that, I think personally it's a little bit unforgivable, especially when they go with this new review policy.
Right.
Reviewers don't.
What you were just about to say, I think, is that the reviews would have shown this. They would have said, "Hey, exactly. Be careful if you buy this game because you get bad frame rates on the PC." Now that they don't say it, people who everybody depends on to tell us what is this game worth getting. You tend to find somebody that you trust and you say, well, I kind of identify with this reviewer. I want to see what they think of the game before I buy it. And now that person doesn't get to try the game before you're going to be on the hook for $60 when maybe you would have said, you know what, I'll buy this on console where I'm guaranteed the frame rate that I want, even though it won't look as good as it would on a PC. So I think that this is a disaster. I mean, maybe they'll fix it, but it smells like Batman to me.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. Especially the way Bethesda. If Bethesda hadn't acquired this, gone down this road of review policy, wouldn't have been a problem. As I said before, Bethesda are one of those companies that have such a good name in the industry that usually their games are good. They're normally fine. Yeah, okay, Bethesda are also known for launching games with bugs and problems, but basic performance issues. That's something the reviewer will tell them, and then they go, right, there's a day one patch, right, and then you play your game. Then you know for $60 or however, whatever you call your currency over there, you're getting a game with a day one patch, and that should then run at 60 frames, but a minimum of 60 frames per second. And for me, that's I stand by it, saying you're gonna act with this policy. Make sure every game you release after that works. Don't screw it up.
And we're not really railing against Dishonored 2. We're really more bothered by, at least for me, I'm more bothered by the fact that this is the first game to come out after they changed their policy on handing out pre-release copies like a week ahead of time so that people could try them out and then tell everybody how it is. The idea that this is coming right after they've changed that policy is a mistake, I think. And hopefully they'll get enough backlash from this to maybe change their minds about that policy, but I really doubt it because they're a huge company and people pre-ordered the game in droves. And you know who's at fault here? We're at fault.
The consumer is at fault.
The consumer is at fault because we keep buying stuff that we don't need to buy. We don't wait for reviews. We instantly say, I want to have this because I want to have the I don't know, the 1960s Batman costume in game that I'll use for 5 seconds and then forget about. And it's just not cool. And yes, Snow Goes Ham has a really good point. Steam refunds do exist, but they shouldn't.
You shouldn't rely on Steam refunds.
You shouldn't have to rely on Steam refunds. You should be able to rely on reviews so you know ahead of time. Because while I've bought and returned multiple games on Steam, I don't know if there is a flag eventually that will say, all right, you've done it too many times. You can't return anymore. There's no way for me to know that. So anyway, that's it for Dishonored. Did you have anything else to add?
No, that's pretty much it. That's got that covered.
1 second. I'm back. Sorry about that. My son asked a question about his homework. So anyway, the next story in the pipe, as it were, is oh yes, this one. So, all right, Atari makes the game Roller Coaster Tycoon, and Roller Coaster Tycoon is been a game that's been around for a really long time. At least I'm 90% sure that it is. There's been multiple versions of Roller Coaster Tycoon, correct?
Yeah, very correct. Yeah.
Okay. So there's been many versions of Roller Coaster Tycoon. And today, they apparently were rushing out an unfinished... And this is according to a post on Reddit, by the way. So I haven't tried this myself, but they're rushing out a unfinished, unpolished Roller Coaster Tycoon world. And the reason that they're pushing it out ahead of time before it's ready is because there is going to be a game called Planet Coaster, and they're trying to get people to buy their game before Planet Coaster comes out so that they can make a quick buck. And then there's a video comparison of the two games that I'm showing on screen now. Now, have you ever played one of these games before, Zap?
Yeah, I played one that was done by EA, I think, on the PS1. I think it was Roller Coaster Tycoon, actually. I think the best expression is the name Roller Coaster Tycoon has been handed around badly. It's been really... It's not good. I think, Theme Park World was the game that I played. Theme Park Worlds. So, yeah, similar thing. Build a theme park and, yeah, away you go. And I can find them quite addictive in a certain extent, but yeah, they're not kind of my thing these days.
Yeah, it's not really my thing either, but the reason it's jumped out at me is because the idea that, you know, Atari is making this game and they've got the name Roller Coaster Tycoon, and there's going to be a competition. This is something that happens all the time. I'll tell you who does this a lot. And I think that I think that some people will probably say that I'm naive for saying this, but I think that Blizzard does this a lot. Whenever there's a big MMO expansion or new game coming out soon, what I always seem to, or not always, but often what will happen is Blizzard will release their big thing right around the same time, and it just crushes quote unquote the enemy or the other game, and Blizzard just gets all of the news cycle, and it really hurts the competition. So the idea that the big name is doing this to try and kill Planet Coaster, you know, I just don't think that's very cool.
No, I think you're right, but I think it's going to backfire. I've dropped some links in the chat. One was the Steam page for Roller Coaster Tycoon World, released on the 16th, which is today. It's got nearly 2,000 user reviews, and they're mostly negative. Stop trying to make a quick buck, Atari. Any game company that I've tried to hold this rant really calmly, but the more I think about it, the more angry it makes me that companies are just doing it. They go, oh, Planet... Example in this case, whoever's making Planet Coaster or whatever it's called, build your own roller coaster or whatever they're called these days, right? Fair enough, they're making a game that's similar to Roller Coaster Tycoon. So what? If it's better than yours, sit down, spend some time, and make your game better. Yeah. Make it worth people paying the money. Don't soft launch it in a stage that you could only cast as beta or alpha. No, that's not good enough. In the UK, this is £27, $35 for you out there, right? That is the price of almost the price of a brand new PC game. Overwatch, for example, you mentioned Blizzard. Overwatch is that price in the UK. I know they're two different genres, but at the same damn time, they're two. inspect the finished game. Overwatch is polished and beautiful. This looks like a pile of junk. Atari, you gotta shape it up. If there's competition, and there's nothing wrong with healthy competition.
No, competition makes everything better.
Yeah, make the competition worried of you. It doesn't matter if you release your game in 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, whatever, right? But if people know about your game, you build it properly, you publish, you do the correct PR, people will then put down the game they were playing and then go to your game.
You know,
don't just release.
Go ahead.
You don't just release something that you've then got around to month after month, because it's happening too often these days. Developers are releasing games and then going, oh, we got to add this, No Man's Sky all over again.
I haven't played this, so I don't know if it's, and I didn't play No Man's Sky either, but you said that, you know, people, you know, they're rushing to get things out the door and it's causing them to fail. A very good example of this is Sega. Sega rushed the Saturn to market. They brought the Saturn out thinking, if we get out in the market first, people will buy our system, and then they'll say, well, I don't have enough money for the PlayStation, so the PlayStation won't be bought. Well, they brought the Saturn out before the PlayStation, and it flopped because it wasn't very good. And then the PlayStation came out, and it was way better, and it just destroyed everything. And I could be wrong, but I think history repeated itself with the Dreamcast and the PS2. I think the Dreamcast came out first. Now, if you go back, the Dreamcast was amazing. A lot of people didn't play it, and that's too bad because it was a really good console. The problem with the Dreamcast was people had been burned by Sega too many times, and they didn't feel like they could trust that company to bring out something good. At least that's how I think it turned out. And if Atari does things like this, you know, they keep burning their customers just relying on the name. You're going to tarnish that name Atari more than it already is, and people are not going to be playing it. Now, normally we save listener feedback for the end, but Eskimo Princess wrote an email in about Planet Coaster, so I want to read that now and you know, get your reaction to it. Mm-hmm. She said, in the wake of Planet Coaster coming out tomorrow, I figured I'd send you in a review. The game is in beta currently for people who have pre-ordered the Thrill Seeker edition. I was hesitant to buy it because I'm so loyal to Roller Coaster Tycoon, having played all three in their successful franchise. But after watching videos and watching Twitch streamers play it, I had to have it. I got to play it last night, and if I wasn't so tired, I would have played it all night. I got about 3 hours of gameplay in, and I spent 2 hours of it decorating a queue line for a carousel. This game, I don't understand why people like these games, but okay. The ability to create in this game is more spectacular than any other game I've seen. I can understand why people like creating stuff and decorating stuff. It's just not for me. I'm just kidding. The possibilities are more endless than Minecraft. I think that's crazy talk, but I haven't tried it, so I don't know. I saw a review today that said that this game makes it fun to spend 2 hours detailing the crap out of a toilet building. And it's so true. Here, I'm going to stop there and see if you've got anything to say about that.
I just got this image of Eskimo Princess designing the perfect, pretty toilet seat. But anyway, that's quality. I mean, but that shows you something about a game. When Eskimo Princess says there she was hesitant. Let's break down that email very, very. She was hesitant to buying this game because she was loyal to one franchise. Now, that's something again, and what they've done. Frontier Developments, they've made Elite Dangerous, and I believe Elite Dangerous is actually quite a good game. You know, they've got a good game underneath their belts. So, but going back to Eskimo Princess, she's hesitant. She watched some videos, she watched some streamers. And all of a sudden, she's playing it and she's spending 2 hours decorating the toilet seat. I mean, that's amazing. So, but Roller Coaster Tycoon, because they've rushed it and they just go for that nostalgia plug, and it's like, that's right, we can get all our fans on nostalgia. It doesn't matter how good our game is, we'll do nostalgia. Well, I'm sorry guys, but it doesn't work like that. Competition is what you're up against. The Minecraft thing is very very skeptical. I've just got 1,000 Minecraft fans banging on the window after this.
Right.
You know, I mean, that was dangerous. I think Stampy just rolled over and toffed and fell over, you know. But anyway, Planet Coaster sounds, if you're in the market for a toilet designing building game, a roller coaster game, sorry, then Planet Coaster looks like it's the one, and we've got a very trusted review from a listener that she's saying that, you know, it's definitely worth it. I wouldn't plunge my money into Roller Coaster Tycoon to find out. No way. I find these games I can play them for a couple of hours and then I've got to switch them off and I'll play something different. But, you know, hats off to them. If Planet Coaster is the one to go for it.
Yeah, she also says in the email, she said the roller coaster building is so easy. You can do anything with it. There's no pre-built Cobra rolls or corkscrews here. You have to actually make them yourself by bending the track into what you want. That sounds kind of cool.
That's
the thing about these games for me. I like the idea of these games, and then as soon as I start playing them, I get bored. And that's just me. That's me. I don't know what it is. You know, there's games out there that are for there's a different kind of game out there for every person. And this game always seems like a good idea to me, and I always get bored when I try and playing it. So I'm not going to try Roller Coaster Tycoon or what was the other one? Planet Coaster.
Planet Coasters.
Yeah, I'm not going to try either of them.
Designer.
Planet Toilet Seat. I'm not going to try either of them, but I'm really happy that Princess is having fun with it. And, you know, I hope that people avoid Roller Coaster Tycoon if it's not up to snuff. And Atari, you just got to get your house in order and build a good game. Don't bank on the name. Bank on a good game. That being said, let's take a look at the next story. What is it?
I think I'm about to break some hearts, including yours. I'm sorry, sir, to say that Zelda will miss the Nintendo Switch launch.
Can you imagine?
Everyone, let's have a minute's silence for Zelda's missing the... Anyway, yeah, it's come out today that Zelda Breath of the Wild will not make the launch of the Switch. Now, we spoke about delays on the past on the podcast. I don't think it's a bad thing. I just wanted to bring it to the listeners' attention that, quite frankly, if they're delaying it because it needs polish, then good on them. We don't know how far in the development stage that they are. But, you know, we're talking November, December, January, February, March. We're going on for another 4 months to when Nintendo is supposed to be releasing its Switch. So, you know, it's a shame that they've got to delay it, I think. I think Nintendo Switch could have done with something like Zelda to launch with the console because it's a big franchise and a big game. I don't play them myself. I know you do, and that's why I brought this to your attention. So, I mean, what do you think?
Well, you know, there's a couple of ways to look at it. First off, this is not confirmed by Nintendo, so, you know, we got to take it with a grain of salt. That being said, Emily Rogers is the one who announced it, and she has made a lot of she has made a lot of news by I think she's got very good sources. Whoever it is that she's talking to has been giving her very good information, because she was the one who was able to tell us a lot of the details about the Switch before the actual announcement from Nintendo. She says that it's delayed 4 to 6 months of testing will follow, so it looks like they're probably looking at summer for the launch of the game. I'm fine with it, and yeah, everybody always quotes Shigeru Miyamoto when he said a delayed game is eventually good, but a rushed game is forever bad. I love that quote by him, and he's totally right.
We just spoke about the two tycoons, you know, Roller Coaster and Planet Coaster.
Yeah. The big thing for me here is the Switch needs to have a good launch game.
Yeah.
It has to have a good launch game. If you look at Nintendo's history with their launch titles, every time they've had a good launch game with their console release, that console has done well. Every time that they've shipped a console without a good launch title, without a big launch title, usually a Mario or a Zelda, that console has floundered. You look at the GameCube, it shipped without a Mario game and without a Zelda game at the beginning. They were still working on those. They were in development. So it shipped with very few games. It did not do very well. The Nintendo 64, I believe Mario 64 didn't come out for like 6 months or something. The Nintendo 64 didn't do well. You look at the Wii, it launched with Zelda Twilight Princess, and it really did well. That also probably has something to do with the fact that it was very, very cheap for a console, and that helped it a lot. And then the Wii U came out, and the Wii U launched without a Mario, without a Zelda, and it tanked. It tanked because people didn't buy it, so no third-party developers were on board. I'm not saying that any of those were bad systems. I'm just saying they launched without big names behind them, and those big names are usually what carries a system forward. So while I'm fine with them delaying Zelda, I hope that means that they've got something else ready, and my guess is they probably do, because if you look at the release calendar for the Wii U, there's been like nothing for months and months. They've just had little tiny things that nobody really cares about for months. And what does that tell me? It tells me that those guys have been developing for the Switch instead. We're gonna see where that goes. Let's check the next story.
Just before we do move on, Kodiak Moonwolf put something. If it's going to be there with Skyrim, if that was what was on the trailer, be good launch game. I don't think so, personally. I don't know. One, we don't know if Bethesda has confirmed anything. But at the same time, Skyrim is so readily available on every platform. I don't think that's what they need to be launching with. Jump makes a very good point that you need to be launching with something that Nintendo are known and love for. Mario, Zelda, all that sort of stuff. That's what you need to launch your console. Skyrim, you can get it on PS4, PS3, Xbox 360, PS4, Xbox One, PC. That's 5 consoles, and if they bring it to the Switch, that'd be the 6th console. That's not what I would consider a launch. That wouldn't make me go, I'm buying a Switch for Skyrim. That wouldn't do it for me. It would have to be a Mario or a Zelda. It has to be something that makes me want to go out and go, I'm getting a Nintendo for Mario. I'm getting it for Zelda.
I totally agree, and so we'll, I mean, only time will tell. That's what we're gonna have to wait for. Nobody's buying a console for Skyrim because everybody who's wanted to play Skyrim has already played Skyrim. Some of us have already bought Skyrim like 3 friggin' times.
Tell me about it. I've got Skyrim coming out my ears.
Yeah. So anyway, let's move on to the next story. The next one is this mine or yours? It's mine.
Yours.
Blizzard is making some changes to the way that Overwatch leveling works. And some people are very unhappy about it, but let me read the story and hopefully it'll explain it a little bit better than that. So basically, there's a big change to the leveling system, and what happens is once you hit 100, currently when you hit 100, what happens is you start back over at level 1. So you start back over at level 1. Now, when you level from 1 to 100, you level very fast for the first 23 levels or so. So you'll level really quick. You'll get a lot of loot boxes. What Blizzard is doing is they're saying, all right, well, what happens is they want to slow that down. And a lot of people are like, you're just trying to get us to buy loot boxes, you jerks. And I can see why people would think that. But what's actually happening is when you get to 100, instead of bringing you back down to 1 and starting over and having 1 be, we'll say, 100 experience, and then level 2 is 200 experience, and level 3 is 300 experience. What they're going to do instead is they're going to take that whole leveling progression of when you start at 1 again, and instead of taking the first 25 or so levels and packing them in really close together and then spreading everything out at the end, they're going to take all of that 1 to 100 and spread it out evenly. So instead of getting hitting 100 and then getting loot box after loot box after loot box, and then after you hit level 25 it's like, all right, well, now I'm not getting one for ages, they're going to take those, and I think they said it's going to be 2,000 XP each time. So it's exactly the same as it is right now for 1 to 100. But then once you hit 100 and you get reset, you quote unquote prestige back down to 1, then it's going to be, instead of whatever it was before, it'll be 2,000 XP to get to level 2, and then 2,000 XP to level 3. So instead of ramping it, 20,000, not 2,000. Instead of ramping it up, it's going to be even progression through the out. That way they don't have this this mentality of people, people like to get the loot boxes. And if you're getting loot box after loot box, you're like, oh man, I'm all hyped up and I'm having a good old time. And then suddenly I'm not getting loot boxes anymore. I kind of get bored and I stop playing. So they're going to take the end of the spectrum and make it shorter, be less XP, and take the beginning of the spectrum and spread it out to make it more even. So I think a lot of people are angry about this, but they don't want people playing Overwatch when you don't want to. And they don't want people to not play Overwatch when they want to, is really the idea behind it. And I think it's a good change. That's all. You're making a face.
I agree.
Okay.
I'm making a face because that's my face of internet. You're full of rubbish. Doo-doo. Seriously, guys, I mean, they're basically evening out XP so you can get loot boxes at a steady rate, at a steady pace. Just so what? If you're gonna play the game, you're gonna play the game. God, I hate these changes more for the fact that the internet blows up for no reason whatsoever. It's nothing about making you buy loot boxes. If you're gonna buy loot boxes, you'll buy loot boxes. I've bought some loot boxes just because I want a shiny skin. And at the end of the day, well, pop filter. At the end of the day, what should it matter what your XP is from 20k or from level 101 to 150?
You still get a loot box every level between 1 and 100.
The loot boxes don't make you a better player. Doesn't add anything to the game except for a skin. I don't understand. I mean, there is no pay to win in this. It kind of makes me think that the community is going, well, all of a sudden it's like a pay to win game. You can't. It's just stupid. I mean, and it always happens when people make changes. Just because all of a sudden it looks like you've got to do a little bit more work to get that loot box, when actually it's a pure same leveling system throughout after level 100. Now that's fair enough. I mean, I'm not even close to level 100 first time round.
Yeah, I think I'm like 53.
I'm like 33. I play the game because I enjoy the game. I've got some skins. I've got some coins there to buy some skins. Skins in Overwatch doesn't bother me because they mean literally jack all. And I think that the community's just being stupid.
Yeah, I think that a lot of times when people play these games, and this is something that always bothers me about online games, is that people feel like they need to be rewarded for everything. Oh, you put on your armor? Well, here's a reward for that. Oh, look at that. You clicked the button? Good job. Here, let's give you some reward. And then it gets to the point where people are like, hey, I want to do a dungeon or something in a game. And they're like, well, I don't need anything for that dungeon, so why would I? I'm like, well, because dungeons are fun. Well, yeah, dungeons are fun, but I want to play and get a reward. I'm like, the reward is that it's fun. You don't... if I decide I want to go play basketball with some friends, I don't say, well, am I going to get any money after we play a pickup game? And then say, well, no, you're not going to get any money. Well, screw you. You know, I don't understand why people think that they have to be rewarded for playing. You're playing because it's fun. That's the whole point. And if the game is not fun, and I've said this about countless games, if the game is not fun enough that you want to play it on your own without any reward, no loot at all, then you should go play a different game. Like, when I play Guild Wars 2, this drives people bananas about me. When I am playing Guild Wars 2, we've been doing these raids, right? And in the raids, you get magnetite shards. Okay? I raided for, I don't know, like 6 weeks before I noticed that I had magnetite shards. And people were like...
Nice.
People were like, well, how many magnetite shards do you have? And I opened it up, and I had like hundreds. And they were like, well, you should buy all of this stuff. I was like, I didn't even know that I had it. And they were like, well, why were you doing the raids? I go, because they're fun. It's fun to overcome the challenge. That's why I do the raid. I don't care about the loot. In fact, my perfect MMO would be a game where rather than have any loot or any levels, everybody is level 1 and never levels up. There is no loot. You go into the dungeon, you fight the boss, you win, you high-five everybody. Yeah, we did it. All right. And you don't get any loot. And that's perfectly fine with me because I like overcoming mechanics. I think that current MMOs have completely brainwashed people to feel like they have to have a shiny thing at the end of a carrot at the end of the stick. And I don't need the carrot and I don't need the stick, and I don't need people who need a carrot or a stick around me. That's just me, though.
I completely agree. One of my favourite games of all time is, it won one of the polls a few, Final Fantasy X. And that game, basically, I'm now at the point where I'm at the last stage where you choose whether you're going to grind your life away to get to the final boss. But for me, that's fun. My challenge is to beat the final boss. Right. That doesn't reward me with a shiny skin, doesn't reward me with this, that, and the other. I sunk I checked the hours the other day, 450 hours into a single player game. Right? Wow. 450 hours. I don't think I can even imagine people doing that these days because the game doesn't reward you in the same sense that an MMO or an online game does. But the way it rewards me is I want to beat Penance. Penance is the final super boss. It was added with the international content. I want to beat it, so I've got to make sure that my characters are there properly, this, that, and the other. So, give me that. And I'm the same as you. I like the raids in Guild Wars 2 because they're new mechanics for me. This week on Monday, we did the escort event. I wasn't alive for half of it, but we still did the escort event. Instead of doing through Wing 1, we decided to do a different wing. Great. I saw a different mechanic. Excellent. Shinies and loot. So I've got my characters are where they need to be. I don't need shinies and loot. It's just Blizzard community, Overwatch community has been dumb.
Yeah, I agree. Let's move on to the last story before the lightning round. Why don't you go ahead and tell us about this?
Show notes. Come back. The show notes have run off. Get it?
Oh boy!
Here we go.
Oh boy! That's pretty awful. Just so, in case you guys missed it, he said the show notes have run off. Go ahead and tell us the next story.
It's about Mario Run.
There you go.
All right. Okay. So first of all, I actually. First of all, what I was going to say is, wow, Mario Run has had a release date, which is the 15th of December. I expect you'll cover this more on your side podcast, Run Jump, or you already have you?
Yes, I posted a video on YouTube yesterday. If you want to find it, you just go to youtube.com/runjumpstomp and you'll see it there. Okay,
so Super Mario Run coming to the iPhone. Android users out there, sorry, you're going to have to wait a little while. Because they don't know when it's coming to Android. It'll probably be on Android in 2020. But anyway, so this one is about Nintendo's shares rise with Super Mario Run, and it's not quite about what I was going to talk about. It was the first article that came up, and I sort of read it. And the price is mainly the thing that I hear is it's £8 for a full game, and it is free to play. I think some of the levels are free or something. I haven't quite got down to the nitty gritty on that bit.
It's basically like a demo.
Yeah. So you get that's exactly that's the word I was looking for. So demo. I'm kind of hyped about this, but at the same time, for £8, Nintendo. Now this is more of a warning, and I hope you agree with what I'm going to say, because I think Nintendo will do this. Don't release it as garbage, please. £8, so it's $10 for you. Release it as a good, because £8 is still, $10 is still a lot of money. In mobile gaming terms, that is a lot of money. Please don't make me be paying that much money just because it's a Mario game. You see so many $1, £2 games on phones these days that kind of adjust those kind of price, that they justify that. So for £8, I'm hoping, and I do think they will. I think Nintendo will do it correctly. That this is going to be worth the money, and it'll have that Nintendo feel. It'll have that Nintendo polish. It'll look beautiful and all that sort of stuff. So please, Nintendo, for that kind of price, please, be good. Be good, Nintendo.
Yeah, I was when they announced this game. First off, it was crazy because it was at the iPhone 7 event, and Shigeru Miyamoto walks out, and everybody's jaw just hit the floor. We were like, "Whoa,
yeah.
What is he doing here?" Because people did not see that coming. And then they announced it, and they said it'd come out by the end of the year, and it's going to be out by the end of the year, so I'm impressed. Most of the time, Nintendo games get delayed, which I'm fine with, but this one didn't get delayed. December 15th. The price, I was honestly expecting it to be more. I was expecting $15 or $20 because Nintendo has said back when they were asked many, many times, are you going to be bringing games to mobile? They always said, no, we're not going to bring games to mobile, and the reason is because we think games are a valuable product. And on mobile, games are not considered valuable because they get sold for free or for cheap all the time. Now, finally, they have decided to bring games to mobile. Hopefully, it turns out to be good for them. Nintendo is my favorite developer. I think just about almost everything they touch is gold. It's really, they do a really good job on the games that they make. Super Mario Run coming out for $10, I think that's a really good deal. It starts with 3 modes, and you can try a little bit of each mode for free, and then if you pay $10, they said it's a one-time fee, and then the way that they phrased it is very important. They phrased it that they said it is a one-time fee that unlocks all the current features in the game. So what does that mean? It means that if this game does well, they may bring more features out in the future, which then they would charge more for. They didn't come out and say it like that, but that's what I think that they mean. If the content that we get for $10 is good, then I'm fine with that. I'm fine with them continually developing a game and then saying, hey, we've improved it. If you want these new features, then, pony up the dough. I think that right now, when you go onto the App Store, there's so many games that are 99 cents or free, and it makes it really hard for anybody who's a small developer to make something good and get noticed. Because there's so many games out there that are free or 99 cents or filled with in-app purchase after in-app purchase that it makes it really hard to stand out. And it makes it hard because a small studio, they can't afford to throw away money developing a really great game and then sell it for 99 cents. They can't afford that. That's not a profitable thing. The only people who can do that are huge companies that have lots and lots of money. And the idea that the games on a mobile system aren't worth as much because it's on your phone, I think is a really bad idea. And that's why we get crappy games, because you can't sell games for an expensive price unless your name is Square or Nintendo. I mean, Square, and I talked a little bit about this on the YouTube video, but Square, they are, I'm mad at Square about the Final Fantasy games on the iPhone. They are, okay, so first off, they're usually kind of crappy ports. They're not great. They'll have a virtual joystick when a touchscreen controls would work just fine. Okay, so I could like touch a menu instead of using a virtual joystick to move the selected item to the different menu.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
ridiculous that they do that. And secondly, the thing that drives me absolutely bananas with them is they will put out the game for $17 or whatever, like Final Fantasy 3 or whatever. And if you buy it on your iPhone, you can only play it on your iPhone. You cannot play it on your iPad because it's not a universal game. Yeah, if for those of you watching, or listening, Zap just made like a ridiculous face when I said that. It's not a universal app.
Attack.
You can't. Like I own Final Fantasy 3 on my phone. I can't play it on my iPad unless I like blow it up. But they have an iPad version, and if I had bought that, I can't play it on my phone. It's ridiculous. Nintendo, I don't think that they're doing this, but
Let's hope not.
I like that they're charging $10 because I think games need to be more expensive on the App Store. And if Nintendo can charge more for a really good game, that's going to make it so that smaller developers can make a really good game and maybe charge more and make a profit instead of putting a bunch of shovelware out. All right.
No, I totally agree. Just on a point of that, I play my main game is Clash Royale, which is a great little free to play game. But you know, that's the free to play games. You know, they're there just to waste time. And I really hope that for £8, $10, that this is going to be a really good game. But yeah, I've seen the price of Square Enix and what they charge for their Final Fantasy games. Yeah, they can jump on that one.
Well, gosh, we've been talking a lot about Nintendo today. We're going to start the lightning round now. The lightning round is where we promise to go fast.
Yeah.
So we're going to do our best to talk, not quickly, but to be brief with our the things that we're talking about.
Briefs?
Go ahead.
No, you said briefs. Or you said brief or briefs?
No, be brief. Brevity.
Okay.
We're going to have brevity. All right. The first story is from Let's Play Video Games, and it is another Nintendo story, and I'm going to talk about all of the Nintendo stories on the Nintendo podcast as well, but I'll go into more detail on them. But real quick, lightning round. Apparently, UK retailer Game is pricing the Nintendo Switch at £199.99. That's about $250 US dollars. And Toys R Us in Canada has also confirmed this price. Now, real quick, what's your reaction to the price?
I'll take one. I'll take 4. That's a great price. Do you know, seriously, that's where this needs to be. This console needs to be at £200. That's a damn good price. If that comes out as true, remember this is leaked information. I think the Canadian government also said sorry for this. Sorry, I heard somewhere. Because they were the ones in Toys R Us in Canada were the ones to first leak it. If this is correct, I salute you, Nintendo.
All right. And now, yeah, just keep in mind, we don't know if that's the real price, so take it with a grain of salt. But 250 actual real monies, that sounds awesome. And if that's true, these things are going to fly off the shelf. And if you thought getting the what was the little console, the NES Classic was difficult, wait until this thing is on sale for $250. That is good. You're going to be lines around the block, especially because Nintendo can never seem to figure out how to make enough objects to sell to all the people that want said objects. All right, next story.
Next story is about Terraria. I'm going to bring you a little Terraria update. I haven't played Terraria for ages, and I think you're a bit of a fan of Terraria as well, aren't you, Jump?
I put like 90 hours into Terraria, which for me is a lot because I usually don't play games for that long.
I think me and you might have to sit down one evening and do a dual stream because Terraria just met Dungeon Defenders.
Wait, what? It met what?
Yeah, Dungeon Defenders. Dungeon Defenders is a game that's on Steam that I played. Like, it's Dungeon Defenders 2. Sorry.
It's like a MOBA, right?
Yeah, it's kind of like a MOBA. It's like a
tower defense.
Tower defense against waves of enemies, sort of thing. And they've just crossed over with Terraria. But actually in Terraria, so there's a massive new patch for the PC. This looks incredible. I think we're gonna have to sit down and do a dual stream, my friend, because this looks fun as hell. You don't have to start a new world if you have a world already done, you know. And there's a lot of crossover content. So, guys, in the show notes, and if you want me to link in chat, we'll link in chat. But and you're a Terraria fan, have a read of this. This really looks great fun. It's gonna pull me back in, I think.
Yeah, this does look cool. I had no idea anything about this. I played a little bit of Dungeon Defenders, and I thought it was a neat game. But Terraria. Okay, so when Minecraft first came out, I ignored it because I was like, "What the hell is that? That's weird." It didn't really it never jumped out at me. And then when Terraria came out, and I knew a lot of people were talking about Minecraft all the time. I looked at it and I said, well, okay, so this is like the 2D version of Minecraft, and everybody likes Minecraft, and I like this kind of pixel art stuff, so I'm going to try out Terraria. And I totally got hooked, and it's actually what got me into Minecraft. So if you haven't played Terraria, definitely check this out, and you can buy it on just about any platform. Go ahead.
I will say a couple of things going forwards. If you own Terraria on old generation systems, Xbox 360, PS3, and the Vita, they are no longer supporting it. September was the last big patch that it will receive. It's on a 25% off at the minute on Steam, so my recommendation is to either buy it on the Xbox One, 360, the Wii U. Yes, I just recommend you buy a game on the Wii U, and the PC. So they are your platforms that will have all this latest content. They haven't said on the console versions though when this patch will drop. They are now working on 1.3, so which brought a lot of good stuff to Terraria. I expect the next patch for the consoles will drop quarter next year, quarter 2 I think it normally will be, and it'll include probably all of this as well. So there you go.
All right, and the next story in the lightning round is also yours, so go ahead.
Elder Scrolls Online, myself and Ron jumped it. Well, we started out playing this game. It's free to play on PS4 and PC for the weekends. I like to recommend some free. We did this last week. Recommended Overwatch and Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege. Both were free to play last weekend. This weekend, it's Elder Scrolls Online. It's free to play for the weekend. It's a really good game. It's a solid entry in the series. Well, now it is.
Isn't it free to play all the time?
No, it's buy to play.
Oh, I understand. Yeah. I got you. Okay,
so you get all the content. You get basically what if you buy the game, you do basically get the full game for free for this weekend. And it started today at just after midnight ET Eastern Time, and we'll run right through to the weekend. So have a go if you haven't had a go. Go and have a go.
Yeah, there's not much else to say about it. All right. So let's take a look. Now we got to talk about last week. We had our poll where we compared Alan Wake to GTA 3. That was last week, right?
No, that was the week before.
Oh, hold on.
So we want the other link.
Okay.
Which
Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess versus Metal Gear Solid, and I haven't even looked at this. And Twilight Princess wins. Sorry, buddy.
Wow, come on, guys.
Man,
this is me losing two in
a row. Oh my goodness. All right. Well, anyway, in this is the game off section. In the game off section, Zap and I both recommend a game that we think everybody should have a chance to play. And last week, Legend of Zelda trounced Metal Gear Solid, which I'm actually surprised because Metal Gear Solid is a very good game and Nintendo's kind of a niche audience. This week, we've got two new games to talk about and compare. My game is Bionic Commando Rearmed. Now, Bionic Commando is a game that I played on the NES way back in the day. And basically, Capcom made a complete remake of the game from the ground up using new graphics, but everything else is basically the same as far as I remember. And it was a blast. It looks really good. It plays really well. The controls are awesome. And if you've never played Bionic Commando before, you are missing out. You've got a gun. You got an arm that can shoot out and grab stuff. And basically what you do is as you're running through, you can jump off a ledge and shoot your arm out and grab a hold of something and then swing along. So it's got like this really great platforming to it. They also added co-op to it. So you could play it with another player, which was a really cool addition. I still remember the first time that I finished Bionic Commando on the NES. Like, I still remember fighting the enemy boss, and I had an absolute blast with it. So if you haven't tried Bionic Commando, try out Bionic Commando Rearmed, because it is a really good remake, and we usually don't get good remakes. Usually they're kind of garbage. So that's mine. What's yours?
I feel like I might have cheated this week slightly, but because I went 2-0, I thought I'd bring out the big guns, and this week is Skyrim. Yes, the Elder Scrolls. I bashed Bethesda this evening, but I'm going to praise them back up, because this game is the first. I played Oblivion, that didn't really do it. I loved Oblivion. But Skyrim was the game that just sold the single-player RPG franchise. The first time I had this was on the PS3. I got like 3 days before it was released, when Bethesda agreed about releasing games slightly early, and it was fantastic. 200 plus hours into the PS3 version. I've got countless hours in the PC version. Do you know what? Skyrim, I haven't got to say anything about this, guys. You all know it. The soundtrack is amazing. It's a beautiful, beautiful game. If you haven't played it by now, then you've been living under a rock. Because seriously, this game is available everywhere. And yeah, well, there you go. Skyrim.
Yeah,
this week.
you definitely cheated, but that's okay. That's okay. Skyrim is awesome. It's so awesome that I bought it twice. You know, that's the thing.
Well worth it.
Yeah, it's really good. Like, I bought it for the Xbox 360, and then when I got a better computer, I ended up, when I got a Windows machine, because I used to use a Mac as my main computer. I ended up buying it again and playing it again, and it's really great. So, but both games are really good, and if you guys could vote in the straw poll that I dropped into chat, let us know which game do you think everybody needs to play. Let's move on to Wishlisted. In Wishlisted, this is where we tell you about a game that is on our radar, something that we want to buy, and this week, on my wish list, the thing that I added was from Square Enix, who we've talked about a couple times today, and that's Final Fantasy 15. I want this game enough that I'm pretty close to thinking about buying a PS4. I don't want anything else that's on a PS4, basically, except for Final Fantasy 15, and I don't want to have to wait. It looks so cool. So that's what's on my wish list. I love the Final Fantasy games, and I've actually even been thinking about doing a stream of Final Fantasy 7 because that's like one of my all-time favorite games. When Final Fantasy 7 came out, I was in the army, and I had a disposable income, and the money that I had just piling up in my bank account because I did nothing other than play Final Fantasy 7 all day long. I would go to work, and as soon as I got home, I would boot up Final Fantasy 7 and I would play the hell out of it. The only thing that I stopped for was to watch The Simpsons, basically, until I finished that game. And I put a lot of hours into Final Fantasy 7, and Final Fantasy 15 just looks like a really cool return to form. And I can't wait for it. What's on your wish list this week?
My wish list is the result of me putting my PS Vita up for sale.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, we have 2 Vitas in the house, to be fair. My daughter doesn't use hers, so I'll be commandeering hers. I've given my daughter some money for hers. And I'm going to be buying myself a 3DS.
Oh, what are you going to get?
Pokemon! The new one! Is it Sun and Moon? Is it,
Sun and Moon. Uh-oh, you're muted.
Hello, I'm back.
There you go.
I pressed the big button. I like I said, we have 2 Vitas in the house, and I'm going to be giving my daughter some money for hers. She doesn't play on her Vita. I won't be selling Final Fantasy X because I can't part with that. That's the only reason I have a Vita is for the Final Fantasy series. And I want Pokemon Sun and Moon. I also want there's other stuff on the 3DS that's really caught my attention. Nintendo just recently, I got that nostalgia kick. I see you play Super Mario Maker, and they've got 3DS versions. I really want to just get involved in some of this Nintendo stuff. And and in England you can pick up the 3DS pretty cheap.
Yeah, actually, Black Friday is going to be having a huge sale on 3DSs. You'll be able to get a new Nintendo 3DS for $99, which is a ridiculous price. The 3DS started with a really slow slump because they priced it way too high, and then they really did a good job and they turned it around. And I have a stack of 3DS games for my 3DS. I have put a lot of hours into that system. It is my favorite console. It is my absolute favorite console. I'm going to be sad that the Switch is not going to have the clamshell design. I think the clamshell design is fantastic because it protects the screens, but I understand why they're doing that and getting rid of the 2 screens. Here's what I think that you guys should do. Those of you who play the 3DS, if you guys want to email us this week, Zap needs your help. What games does he absolutely need to get for his 3DS in order to make it a really good collection? I'm going to start off by giving you a game to play that I guarantee 100%, without a doubt, you're going to love. And that is Bravely Default. Okay? This is the game that people say should have... It's from Square, by the way. And it is the game that people say is the spiritual successor to the Final Fantasy series. All right? Yes. And it is really good. And I guarantee that you will like it. It's not I can't hold up the box right now because it's at a friend's house. He borrowed it. But Bravely Default is amazing, and you're going to dump lots of hours into it. So definitely pick that out. That's my only recommendation this week. But you guys, what I want you to do is to email us at runjumpstomp@gmail.com and tell us which 3DS games Zap needs to buy and why. And we'll do a rundown of your favorite 3DS games next week, and we'll try and convince Zap which ones he should buy.
As people know, and people will know where I am a Sony man through and through, but Nintendo, they just pull at the little heartstring that I remember growing up as a kid. I had a SNES, I had an N64, I had a GameCube. If you actually look at my game console history, I've actually got more Nintendo consoles in there than I have PlayStation, Sony's. There is more there going on with Nintendo. But it's, Sony is where my heart is in this new generation of consoles. And the Vita is a good console, but as I spoke to you all about before, the Vita was marketed badly. And no developer got behind it, and it just flopped, and it flopped hard. And Sony basically put the last nail in the coffin last year and said, look, they're not going to develop for it anymore. They're going to patch it now and again, and they're just going to... That's it. So... For me, the Vita was probably one of the most powerful handheld consoles on the market, but Sony just screwed it and screwed it hard. So let me get with a games company who know how to make a handheld games console, and yeah, let me see what it's like.
All right, so you guys have a job to do. Email us runjumpstomp@gmail.com. Let us know what games that you want Zap to get for his 3DS. The other way that you could get a hold of us is by calling us. We've got a voicemail line. It's 260-RUN-JUMP. That's 260-786-5867. So far, we think it only works in the U.S., but we've never tried it. So, if you're calling from outside the U.S., fees may apply. I have no idea. You can find me on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube at RunJumpStomp. Zap, where is it the people can locate you?
They can find me on Twitch and Twitter at DJ Zap, and YouTube is at Django Zap.
Awesome. All right, that's it for us this week. Next Wednesday, we will be back with more gaming news. Thank you guys so much for coming by and hanging out with us. And thank you, everybody who's downloading the podcast, listening, or watching on YouTube. We will see you guys next time. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, there we go.